We've watched the Justice League come together, but that's only the beginning of Warner Brothers' plans for DC domination. What do fans have to look forward to over the next half a decade or so? Let's take a look at the upcoming DC movies that are going to blow everyone away. 2017's Wonder Woman was the first DCEU effort to be widely embraced by fans and critics alike, and its sequel, the succinctly titled Wonder Woman 1984, will see Diana taking on new challenges during the era of yuppies. Originally scheduled for a November 2019 release, the flick was pushed back to late summer 2020, and then again to October. In addition to Gal Gadot reprising her role, the sequel has cast Kristen Wiig as frequent Wonder Woman nemesis Cheetah and Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord, who in the comics is a villainous telepath. Interestingly, Chris Pine is also back as Steve Trevor, despite his character meeting his end in the first film. Patty Jenkins has also returned to the director's chair, working from a screenplay she co-wrote with comics legend Jeff Johns and Dave Callahan. The story will reportedly center around magical artifacts, one of which curses Wiig's character and causes her transformation into Cheetah, and one of which brings Trevor back to life. See how it all goes down when the movie takes flight on October 2nd, 2020.
You know what? I'm ready to go.
Despite introducing Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, 2016 Suicide Squad was considered to be one of the DCEU's more disappointing early efforts, with a wildly inconsistent tone, a final battle bogged down by poor CGI, and a poorly received turn by Jared Leto as the Joker. But it did pretty well at the box office, and during writer-director James Gunn's temporary firing from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, DC struck while the iron was hot, securing him to mastermind a soft reboot of the property, this time titled The Suicide Squad.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's not a total redo though. Gunn has retained key players from the first film, such as Robbie as Harley Quinn, Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, and Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and built his own stellar cast of new characters around them. They include David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man, Steve Agee as King Shark, Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher, aka Ratcatcher 2, John Cena as Peacemaker, Idris Elba as Bloodsport, and Saturday Night Live alum Pete Davidson as Blackguard. Principal photography is already wrapped on the flick, and although it was a tough shoot for Gunn, who lost his father near the beginning and his beloved dog near the end, the filmmaker still took to social media to call the experience the most fulfilling time he's ever had making a movie. Plot details have been kept firmly under wraps, but this is a James Gunn joint. We're pretty sure it's going to be a good time. Join in on the fun when the film hits theaters on August 6, 2021. Fans have been waiting a long time to get a glimpse of Robert Pattinson in action as the Dark Knight in The Batman, and at DC's virtual fandom convention in August 2020, they finally got their wish. Writer-director Matt Reeves, who had previously promised that his film would be a dark, noirish work focusing on the early days of Bat's crime-fighting career, dropped a dark, brooding trailer that felt remarkably satisfying, considering that only about a quarter of the film had been shot when it was pieced together. The spot focused heavily on Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon as he works on a case involving a mysterious party with a seeming grudge against the Caped Crusader. This is Paul Dano's Riddler, of whom we also got a brief glimpse. There's also Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, who appears to have her own clandestine agenda. Most significantly, we retreated to the site of Pattinson's Bruce Wayne in full costume, both working with Gordon and beating the ever-loving crap out of a thug on a dark Gotham street.
I'm vengeance.
Pattinson looks every bit as intense and batty as we'd hoped, and a final shot of Wayne removing his mask to reveal his haunted, makeup-smudged eyes has us more convinced than ever that Reeves hired the right actor. Of course, there's room for more than one Batman in the DC universe, but Bat fans have to be pleased with how The Batman is shaping up ahead of its October 1st, 2021 release date. 2017's Justice League should have been one of the biggest films of all time, but instead it became the lowest grossing entry in the DC Extended Universe to date, and most fans place the blame squarely on one man, Avengers director Joss Whedon, who took over and completely overhauled the project when original writer-director Zack Snyder was forced to depart midway through production due to a family tragedy. Fans lobbied for the release of Snyder's cut of the film for years, and next year they'll get it. That's when HBO Max will debut Zack Snyder's Justice League, which viewers will have the option to watch either as a 4-part miniseries or as a 4-hour feature sometime in 2021. Snyder has already teased much of the goodness to come: a more fully formed arc for Superman, the restoration of Cyborg as the movie's narrative heart, a new look for villain Steppenwolf, the appearance of his boss, Darkseid, and a totally revamped third act, to name a few of those goodies. Most importantly though, Snyder has sworn that his version of Justice League will contain not a single frame shot by Whedon, who by some accounts reshot up to 90% of the movie after he took over.
Yeah, and it's not like a competition, you know? Well, it is a competition, but, you know, it's not like a macho measuring thing.
The teaser trailer that Snyder dropped at Fandome, scored to the strains of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, has us pretty much convinced that Zack Snyder's Justice League will be the version of the movie that fans deserve. And if it's as rapturously received as we think it will be, Justice League 2 could even be in the cards. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been keen to play Shazam Nemesis and anti-hero Black Adam on the big screen for years. But ever since a solo flick featuring the character was officially confirmed way back in January 2017, details have been rather slight. That all changed at DC Fandome, where Mr. The Rock presented some short video clips featuring concept art for the film, revealing that the movie will stick close to the character's comic origins and that we can expect some absolutely scintillating characters from DC Comics to show up. Arguably, the biggest revelation from the panel is that the Black Adam movie will introduce the Justice Society to the DCEU, featuring the team as a band of heroes who are seemingly intent on helping Adam achieve his as-yet undefined goals. But they reportedly fail to realize that the insanely powerful anti-hero might not want their help, or consider what he might do to them if they get in his way. Appearing in the film will be iconic DC characters Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher, the last of whom will be played by Noah Centineo, perhaps known for his work in the Netflix romantic comedy To All the Boys I've Loved Before. After years of waiting, we've never been closer to the Black Adam movie becoming a reality. We'll keep you posted on all the details in the lead up to the movie's release on December 22nd, 2021. Having gained plenty of superheroing experience during the events of his 2019 solo vehicle, young Billy Batson still has a long way to go until he's ready to take on Black Adam in the upcoming sequel titled Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Of course, he may have a little help. You'll recall that at the conclusion of Shazam, Batson was able to defeat Dr. Sivana by sharing his powers with his foster family, transforming them into Shazam-like heroes who will presumably have a significant role to play in the sequel. The movie's mid-credits stinger revealed that Sivana, while currently imprisoned, is still a threat, especially after he teams up with that scene's cute little talking caterpillar, Mr. Mind, a space worm from Venus who is a heck of a lot more dangerous than that descriptor might make him sound. Batson will need all the help he can get with Black Adam in the picture, although there's always the possibility that the anti-hero will lean towards his hero side by the end of the movie and end up assisting Batson and family against the forces of evil. Shazam was a heck of a lot of fun, but we all know that superhero sequels tend to go darker. It stands to reason then that young Billy is going to have some growing up to do when the sequel lands on November 4th, 2022. The long-awaited solo film for The Flash has been cooking since long before the character made his first cameo appearance in 2016's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The list of writers and directors to have signed on to and then departed the project is extensive, but since the film has been taken over by director Andy Muschietti, it seems to have finally found itself on solid ground. Not only that, it's now shaping up to be nothing less than the key to how Warner Bros. And DC Entertainment will approach their entire movie universe going forward. As we've long suspected, the flick will reportedly take its narrative cues from the iconic Flashpoint storyline. And as Miller's Scarlet Speedster skips across different realities, he'll potentially accomplish the seemingly impossible feat of uniting every DC property into one complex multiverse. Miller's Barry Allen already met up with Grant Gustin's Arrowverse version of the character in the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths event, an unprecedented collision between the movie and TV properties.
What the hell is this?
I'm asking myself the same question. Literally.
According to recent casting developments, the Flash solo movie will reportedly get even crazier with the crossovers. Not only did Ben Affleck unexpectedly agree to reprise his role as the Bruce Wayne that Miller's Flash knows and admires, but Michael Keaton will also return as the version of the Dark Knight we saw in 1989's Batman and 1992's Batman Returns.
I'm Batman.
Somehow we get the feeling that there will be many more appearances by different live-action versions of DC characters when it arrives on June 3rd, 2022. Screenwriter Christina Hodson, who previously penned the script for Birds of Prey, all but confirmed as much at Fandom, saying, "The cinematic multiverse is going to be born out of this movie. It's born out of Barry's story."
This movie, by opening that door that Flashpoint did in the comics, all of these stories and characters can start to collide.
After Justice League was met with a deflated critical and commercial response, any plans for a sequel were immediately shuffled off to the back burner. But that doesn't mean that the powers that be won't revisit the possibility for a sequel if Zack Snyder's Justice League cut totally blows people away. If it does, it just so happens that the filmmaker has confirmed he originally had a 5-film arc in mind, which included Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, Justice League, and 2 sequels. If the retooled Justice League does well, it's possible that some of those plans could be revisited in the future. Snyder has teased that as he originally envisioned, Justice League 2 would have seen our heroes taking the fight to Darkseid on the planet Apokolips, only to suffer a crushing loss. The 3rd film would have seen the team returning to an Earth taken over by Darkseid for their final stand, which would have involved the Flash creating a new timeline.
Well, that was fun while it didn't last.
It's too soon to know just how Zack Snyder's Justice League will be received, or how it will affect the roadmap for the DC Extended Universe as a whole moving forward. But it's safe to say that even now, a Justice League sequel looks a heck of a lot more likely than it did even a year ago. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. Justice League Dark, a potential feature film based on the team that includes such horror-themed characters as John Constantine, Zatanna, and Deadman, has been in various stages of development for an unreasonably long time. The great Guillermo del Toro was attached to write and direct as long ago as 2012, with the project being passed off to Edge of Tomorrow's Doug Liman in 2016. After nearly a decade of no real movement on the film, fans were ready to give up. That is until J.J. Abrams and his Bad Robot production company stepped in to save the day. In January 2020, it was announced that Bad Robot will begin developing both feature film and television projects based on the property. Warner Bros. Bringing on its hired guns to rescue Justice League Dark is a pretty strong indication that the studio was never willing to let it die on the vine. But at this point, we're still not sure what shape it'll take, and how long it'll take to get from the writer's room to in front of our faces. Also unknown, what team members will be involved, and whether or not the movie and/or TV series will tie in with the larger DCEU. The idea of a feature film based on the near unstoppable alien bounty hunter Lobo has been kicking around even before the DCEU's inception, with the Guy Ritchie-directed version discussed as far back as 2009 but later scrapped. The project was revived as part of the DCEU slate in 2016, with San Andreas and Rampage director Brad Peyton set to helm from a script by Jason Fuchs, who contributed to the screenplay for Wonder Woman and has also been tapped to pen the Minecraft video game adaptation. It was rumored in early 2018 that none other than Michael Bay was being eyed to take the reins, and Fuchs was still reported to be working on the script. As is becoming a theme with the DCEU, however, the television side of things has threatened to intervene. The 2nd season of the sci-fi series Krypton features Irish actor Emmett J. Scanlon taking on the role of Lobo, leading some observers to speculate that the character's feature film prospects had dimmed. But there's been no official word, so a starring vehicle for the ultra-violent baddie could still be in the cards. Once again, the name of the game is wait and see. But if there's one thing we know about Lobo, it's that he never quits.
We thought we did deliver him to you at
DC nabbed an Oscar-winning legend for their planned Blackhawk film. Steven Spielberg, who has taken home 3 Academy Awards over his expansive career, will produce and likely direct a film based on Blackhawk, the enigmatic leader of an international squadron of heroic pilots who take on the Nazis during World War II. The Blackhawk character debuted in 1941's Military Comics #1 and was originally published by Quality Comics before DC acquired it in 1956. The character headlined a number of best-selling comics in the 1940s. His World War II background makes him a great fit for Spielberg, who earned an Oscar and a number of other accolades for his work directing the World War II-based drama Saving Private Ryan. He's reportedly bringing on Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull and Jurassic Park writer David Koepp to pen the script. The future of the DCEU's version of the Man of Steel may be a bit up in the air, but one project that Warner Bros. Is reportedly high on is a starring cinematic vehicle for his cousin Kara, aka Supergirl. The character is enjoying a high profile, thanks to the success of her TV series set within the CW's Arrowverse. And with the MCU's Captain Marvel having arrived in 2019, the time seems right for the DCEU to introduce its own awesomely powered female lead. Little is known about the in-development project other than its screenwriter, Oren Uziel, who penned 22 Jump Street as well as the Cloverfield Paradox. The rumor mill has suggested that the project could be set in the 70s in an alternate timeline which sees Kara arrive to Earth before her cousin, in order to set the film version of the character apart from her TV incarnation. Uziel has been at work on the script since August 2018, so more details are sure to surface sooner rather than later.
What's the hurry?
I'm with her.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite DC comics, TV shows, and movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.